aside, as a final note on Kuzushi, just looking at positions in relationship of static power. And so if we have a man, an easy demonstration of this is like from judo. He's bridging and bracing against our shoulders. He's pushing. We have somebody pushing. He's got a powerful square, and you be strong with your legs, and yeah, be powerful. Yeah, there you go. And if we're hooked up with him, like in a judo grip, I'm just grasping his sleeves, and I'm pulling on this. As he's pushing, I'm adding more power to the integrity of the box that he's creating. So he's pushing, I'm pulling. Everything is a static, powerful square. If you have a relation like this and you're in a static sort of condition and you want to make Kuzushi, you just let go with one hand. And so you create a moment of tension, and then you release one side of it, and the affect of asymmetry becomes very powerful. If he's pushing on me and I'm pulling on him to try to collapse him, I want to collapse these arms, I'm trying to bust these arms down. If I pull symmetrically, I just make his arms stronger. I just make the geometric shape stronger. If I pull on this with both hands and then relax one, the asymmetry goes to the side that the torsion's still on, and the sudden change affects him. This is a very valuable tool in terms of people being very strong and rigid and locking down, and you can't do this thing to me. You have him, maybe he has two hands on one. He's got a hold of me, and he's very strong. He doesn't want it to go up or down or side to side. He's very rigid. Yeah, don't let it move. There you go. So how do we affect the same thing? Well, if I bend my knees and start putting pressure on this, he can probably counteract it. I'm just going to, yeah, he's dealing with that. But then I let my pressure off, and suddenly that bounces him up in the air. And so if we did a larger example of that, he's holding on here, and I just start pushing at his center. I pick my foot up off the ground, and I drive energy towards his center line. Then I put my foot back on the ground and accept the weight of my own body. The sudden affect of change gives him a resultant off balance that becomes pretty catastrophic. Very simple to do. I'm bridging weight, and his job is to stop it. I'm going from my back leg, and yeah, it's like, damn, that's a bunch of pressure, isn't it? But as soon as I put my foot down on the ground and accept my own body weight, all that activity of him holding the pressure of my body bridging into him becomes a sudden change. So these little activities, and it can happen with two hands. You have this, he's holding, now he gets to not hold. Everything collapses at once, and that sudden change. So you can wind up in relationships where you really set a little pressure on the guy and then release it, and that instantaneous popping release, it's often been described in judo circles as you have a cork, and you want the cork to fly up in the air for you, and it's floating on the water, so you just push the cork down a little bit, and you let it go. And when you let the cork go, pops right out of the water for you. Same thing here. And it happens in judo activity. We're all hooked up. You get a little pressure down, you release, and he pops up for you. And it happens in Aikido activity. He's being real strong, he's rigid, he's not going to move, and you just apply a little torsion. I'm just going to start curling my arms like I'm twisting up. And he's just going to fight him. Don't let me do it. Don't let me curl up. And then I let go. Terrible things happen. So virtually any static relationship, when things are working in opposition to each other, you have a curl, and he's trying to affect against the curl by pushing. He's pushing, and you reverse that push. Again, it's very similar to the activity we talked about, Hando no Kuzushi. He's fighting in one direction. He allows it the other direction. He allows it the other direction. So it has this reactive capacity. But it's particularly interesting to study in the static form because, again, you do get these folks that are just, I'm just going to lock down and hold still. That's how I'm attacking you. It's not a very realistic form of attack. In the real world, people swinging at you, coming for you, trying to do you dirty, probably aren't going to do it by, I'm just going to hold on and stand as still as I can and not move. It's a fairly passive, aggressive thing to do. But it does happen, and you need to be prepared for it. So these little activities, and just remember, this is probably the smartest example of it we can show. He's pushing, so I want these arms to collapse. How do we do it? I pull, and then I let go of one. Very simple, simple way to illustrate the principle involved in creating another way of going towards asymmetry, particularly when you have a lot of load, when you're dealing with a lot of strength or a lot of power. Very powerful tool to have in your toolbox. So thank you. Thank you.